Hi, the name's Spike, and thanks for clicking on what is officially my first video. Now, before we begin, I'd like to clear some stuff up about this video. Things that might have even crossed your mind if you already know who the 4 people drawn are. Like, for starters, why am I drawing them in the style of a game that none of them have mentioned in videos, let alone played? And that's a good question. The answer is nothing. This video was never really my first choice, but it was my only option due to a severe creative block. So a fan art video about a group of YouTubers in a style that wasn't so hard for me to replicate at the moment was the best I could do. So yeah, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. This video is gonna be pretty rough around the edges, so bear with me, please. But hey, we all start somewhere, right? So with that being said, let's begin. So here's where I loosely pretend to be somebody that knows what they're doing and explain the art style of Punch-Out as best as I could understand it. For starters, the character outlines are colored instead of black like you usually see in other artwork, and the highlights and shading aren't drawn over it. I'll get back to the highlight and shading later. The character designs are pretty varied, not just in size, but in body type, even in the shape of the head and the facial features. The artwork clearly uses human anatomy and takes liberties with it, resulting in something memorable and even striking. I don't got a lot to say on the colors except they're vibrant? You can tell I have to brush up on color theory. Going back to the highlights and shading, the shading stands out considerably. Like, there's a bright light being shown directly at the characters, and the slightly softened edges of some shadows only serves to enhance the effect. The poses are very dynamic and seem to be possibly drawn in a way where we look at the characters either from above or at eye level and at a 2-point perspective. Remember, I said this part because I didn't. The first step was to draw a second sketch on top of the first one to base the line art off of, even though you'll see me deviate once or twice later on. The 2 characters that inspire this drawing the most are both Little Mac and Glass Joe. The leaner body type on this drawing is based more on Glass Joe, as you can see, while Little Mac's quiet, determined stare was captured on his face, or at least I tried to capture it. I used red for the gloves and the boots, 2 shades of pink for the pants, and I also used all the other colors, gray, black, red, and the dark pink for the shoes. I was more restrained with the highlights, not just because in the official drawings, the same goes there, but I also don't really have a great grasp on it, and you'll notice that pretty quickly in the other drawings too. The shading wasn't terrible either, but maybe to a more trained eye you can notice a few problems. All in all, I don't think it came out too bad. Like the first drawing, I did a second sketch on top of what I had already drawn for the line art. The 2 inspirations for this drawing were Don Flamenco and Disco Kid. Having the more outwardly smug and enthusiastic expression of Disco Kid, while not being as enthusiastic, being more restrained yet condescending like Don Flamenco. I used blue for the gloves, green and white for the pants, and green, white, blue alongside the 2 grays for the shoes. Since the drawing was made from a front view angle, the lighting and shading got a bit complicated for me, to say the least. I don't have a great grasp of shading and highlighting, so there was a lot of guesswork, as much as I hate to admit it. Overall, I think the piece still came out looking okay, but I admit it could have been done better overall. So by now, you already know how these drawings start, so I won't bother repeating the same thing I said every time. The two inspirations for this drawing were, again, Don Flamenco and Soda Popinski. I tried capturing both Soda Popinski's near disgusted sneer and eyebrow raise, while also adding in Don Flamenco's regal yet smug poise. I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like I might have drawn the pants a little too low, so there's that too. And before I forget, I also drew the boots a little too small compared to the last drawing. I also thought it would be a cool detail to add his logo as a symbol at the center of his waistband. I used magenta for the gloves, orange for the waistband, turquoise for the pants, and both magenta and turquoise for the shoes. This was done from a 3/4 angle, so the lighting and shading didn't give me as much trouble as the second one, thankfully, but it was still a lot of guesswork involved. All in all, this drawing wasn't terrible, but this might be the one I'm least happy with. I think some of the problems I pointed out earlier could have been remedied if I'd practiced drawing taller people, so yeah. When I finally started doing this drawing, I was already feeling a bit burnt out from the other three. So much so that I didn't even bother doing a second sketch and skipped straight to the line art. However, it didn't stop there. I was so burnt out that I only did one side and then copy and pasted it to the other side. I did, however, add some extra details without symmetry to make it look less, well, symmetrical. The two main inspirations for this drawing were Bald Bull and Mr. Sandman. Both characters have a rather angry, dare I say, primal look to them, and I thought it would be a great fit for this drawing. I used orange for the gloves, white and brown for the pants, and two different shades of brown and orange, again, for the shoes. Like number 2, the drawing was done from a front view angle, so the lighting and shading kinda gave me a bit of trouble too. Thankfully, it didn't look too bad. Even with all the copy and pasting I did for this last one, it genuinely came out looking better than I thought it would. Conclusion? I need to practice. Enough said. No, seriously, like, these drawings aren't terrible. Hell, I'd say they're pretty good for somebody who still has a lot to learn, but it's because of that fact that they aren't as good as they could have been. Like I said before, the shading, the highlights, they're almost mindless in execution, and in my opinion, they're more visible in the first and third drawings due to the poses I drew. The clothes could have had a little more thought put into them too, as I'm sure some more experienced artists have probably noticed, if there are any watching. And the way I arranged the colors for said clothes probably could have been better too. And if there's any slim chance the 4 gentlemen I drew in this video are watching, I am so fucking sorry. Like I said, these could have been better, and the concept of this whole video isn't even that good on paper in my opinion. I just got sick of waiting for an idea to come to me. So that's really it. Not much more to say here, and to those who stuck around for the whole thing, thank you. Really. If there's literally any constructive criticism, feedback, and most of all suggestions, that would be very appreciated right now. And in case you are still watching, I also have 3 other channels. Each one is dedicated to 3 separate things: music, video games, and live streams, though I'm not doing those just yet. So feel free to share any ideas for those too. And if any of you liked this, click the like button, subscribe if you enjoyed this messy debut of mine, and I will see you all soon.